Now, I've been doing this job long enough to remember saying in writing that when Hyundai was about 15 somewhat years old, that it was one of the best kept secrets in the auto industry. Fast forward a few years and I was saying the same thing about Kia, and it's not because I had a crystal ball or I knew something that others didn't. It was just very obvious. The writing was on the wall. And well, that's the case again now. And it has to do with the brand, Genesis, and it goes all the way back to the original sedan. The issue is very simple. It's not the product, it's just a brand awareness. And I do know for a fact that Genesis Canada and Genesis US, I'm sure, are working extremely hard at rectifying the issue. Now, obviously, as we know, Hyundai and Kia have gone extremely mainstream with huge sales numbers, but I don't know that will happen for Genesis. And the weird thing is that this car in particular, the G70, when it came out in 2017 for the 2018 model year, got boatloads of praise, awards and everything. Everyone agreed that this was an incredible product, incredible packaging, a great driver's car, and yet they are still relatively rare on the road. Again, brand awareness. This one in particular, the G70, now it's important to note, okay, this is a 2020 model year. G70 2021 pricing is already out, as are the cars. Blame that on COVID, another thing we can blame on COVID, at least for me. So pricing is going to be for the 21 model year. The only difference between 20 and 21 for the base cars, that LED headlights, or LED lights I should say, are now standard. So base price for 2-liter turbo advanced all-wheel drive in Canada, $43K. 2-liter turbo rear-wheel drive, the base car, automatic, in the US, $36 grand. Now I want to talk about this particular car, which is a 3.3 turbo sport all-wheel drive, which is obviously known as H-Track, and if I'm not mistaken, even that badge will change come probably maybe even 21 or definitely 22. Because as we know, the 2022 model year G70 now adopts the design language introduced with the G90 and the G80 sedans, and repeated in the GV80 and the soon to come out GV70. So many words. Anyway, this is a 3.3 turbo sport all-wheel drive, $58,000 as it sits. In the US, the base price for 3.3 liter turbo all-wheel drive is a $48,200, but you need to add the sport package, which brings up the price to $52,300. Now, what do you get in the sport package? Well, these 19-inch wheels, the dark chrome trim, some beautiful quilted Napa leather on the inside. On the slightly different, sportier seats, you also get a black suede headliner. Anyhow, it's all in this car. A few other touches, which Genesis has gone all out for their cars, as they've been known to do in the recent past. Brembo wheels, hardcore Michelin Pilot Sport tires. This is a true driver's car. Now, maybe a few other words on design. This is a very compact, very small, very taut, high-performance, luxury, compact sedan, and that probably explains or helps to explain why it's such a hoot to drive. I'll tell you a little bit more about that very shortly. Okay, Genesis isn't exactly generous with the data that they hand out, because I wasn't able to find out how big the trunk is, but let's just say it's decent, no more than that. But despite the exterior, well, snug dimensions, well, you decided to lock yourself. This is weird though, huh? It doesn't recognize. I have to press the button. That's oh, now it locked itself. What's going on here? All right, let me in. Thank you. Okay, so despite the tight exterior dimensions, the back seat is actually generous enough. It's just a little bit difficult to get in and out because of the way the roofline is cut, but there's a dashboard, my driving position, and there's a fairly decent amount of legroom. Headroom is tight, and you could fit 3 across, but what I want to show you is what you're seeing right now. Let's look at this quilting and the leather contrast stitching. It's absolutely beautiful, totally premium, very cool. Speaking of premium touches, that's 3-mode rear heated seats. 2 is usually special. Nope, you get 3 in a Genesis. Because more special? Maybe. All right. Also included in this is a 15-speaker Lexicon audio system. Again, look the materials, everything, how it comes together, the brushed aluminum. It's beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. And there you have the seats in their full splendor. All right, so let's slide aboard here. Now this is your fairly standard 7-inch IP display, which is lovely. This car has heads up and you can actually see the Genesis logo up there. There's your 8-inch screen, which is perfectly fine. It's touch sensitive, thankfully. There you go. HVAC controls, very straightforward. Same thing with some of the audio controls and some of the menus. You get redundant menu buttons there. A shifter, yay, a shifter. Storage, while I'm working my way down, is decent. It's all good. There's your drive mode button. Storage, yeah, whatever. For your mask, that's what's important. So yeah, 3-mode heated, 3-mode cooled, 2-mode heated steering wheel. See, these are the types of touches you would expect in a luxury car, which is usually very hard to find, but not in a Genesis. Beautiful steering wheel, lovely controls. I mean, the visibility is decent despite this. If you're doing that hard left-hand turn around a cement median, you can kind of look around it. It's not great, but otherwise everything else is quite nice. Just the design of the dashboard. Look at the luxurious touches. Look at all the materials, the way they all come together. Again, the contrast stitching, the leather, the plastics, everything is thought out. Absolutely premium. And you know what? For this one, I'm not going to step out either. We're just going to go for a drive, and I'll tell you a little bit more about what this thing is all about. All right, so driving the G70, well, this is a full-on mea culpa. I am absolutely guilty of feeling this way about the car, but I continue to be surprised and impressed with the G70, despite the fact that this is the 3rd time that I drive one. I drove a 2-liter turbo and previously the 3.3 turbo, and now again the 3.3 turbo, and just the whole of the experience is extremely satisfying. And if I feel surprised every time, well, that's because, and it's terrible to admit this, but my expectations remain too low. And that's probably what happened when the car was launched, because everybody expected something, and Genesis over-delivered, as they've made a habit of doing. That applies to the entire group, in fact. Now, the 3.3-liter twin-turbo V6 puts out 365 horsepower at 6,000 RPM, 376 pound-feet of torque from 1,300 to 4,500 RPM, which means that the car is really quick. Now, the default drive mode is comfort, so it's actually very nice to drive. Unlike a lot of drive modes or normal drive modes or comfort modes in other cars, the Genesis doesn't feel like it's choked or that the power is restricted. Yes, throttle response is dulled, but you still get a heck of a lot, or you get immediate access, or very quick access, I should say, to all the power. Now, this thing has a lot of drive modes: Eco, Smart, Comfort, Sport, and Custom. Now, normally in a Hyundai or a Kia product, I like Smart because it sorts everything out. But because this car has the Genesis adaptive control, damping, blah, 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 well, I want my custom mode set up with everything in Sport except for the chassis. So let's do that right now. I'm going to go into Custom. Now, suddenly the car feels like it has even more power, and the 8-speed automatic transmission, well, that's illegal. This car is so quick, so much quicker than you think. The depth of the available torque is immediate and feels like it never ends. It's incredible. And another key issue or element to this car is its chassis. It feels extremely agile, very nimble, And that also is part of that whole satisfying driving experience. The power, the chassis, the brakes, Brembo brakes. I mean, you can't go wrong. Brake pedal feel is amazing. If I had to complain about one thing, and this is a very kind of Kia Hyundai thing, on center, there's a little bit of jello, if you will. It's slightly annoying, but you kind of get over it. Because it's very little assistance, and then suddenly you feel it and it loads up heavily and fast. But you can work through that, it's not that bad. But despite that, if it was possible to do a blind taste test of a Genesis G70 versus a BMW 3 Series versus an A4 versus a C-Class, I don't know. In fact, I'm convinced that this would never come in last. I can't say it would come in first, but it would never come in last because it feels so sorted. Everything is the togetherness of the powertrain, the chassis, the responses, just the whole driving enjoyment. It just kind of all makes sense. And that's why, when you consider the value of this car, $58,000 is a lot of money, but $58,000 will get you a half-naked 330i or an A4 with nothing in it, or just about. This, you sacrifice nothing in performance, in handling, in luxury features. It's just this. That's all. Again, that. This is why this is one of the best kept secrets, and will probably continue to be for a number of years. I absolutely love this car. Would I actually get one? If I was in the market for an entry, quote unquote, level luxury sedan? Well, I can tell you this much. I would get it without even hesitating before an Infiniti Q50 or a Lexus IS. Those two cars, in my books, are way past their due dates. Just not coherent with the category anymore, although they have the technology and the luxury and all that. Somehow there's something amiss. So definitely a Korean ahead of the Japanese. It wouldn't, at least one of the Germans would come in after this, but I'm not 100% certain which one it would be right now. But suffice it to say that this car is incredible. Oh, I guess I could throw in a CT4 as well. I think I'd get this for now ahead of a CT4. Anyhow, now I'm just dragging everything along here, but I love this car. It's a great automobile. It's worth being considered, but if you're turned off by the brand, I understand.